Today, I'm baking sourdough bread. Nothing fancy, just a plain, simple sourdough boule. If sourdough is something you've been interested in doing, or maybe you have some questions, I thought this might be a good opportunity today to chat as I make my sourdough bread. Hi, my name's Laura, and I hope you'll make yourself at home as I make sourdough bread. I'm going to begin by taking some of my sourdough starter and feeding it. So I start with about 25 grams of starter, and to that I'm going to add 50 grams of unbleached flour and 50 grams of filtered water. Now, a few things that I covered there that I'll highlight for you if you're new to sourdough. When you're feeding a starter, you want unbleached flour and you want filtered water, and you need a 1-to-1 ratio of each. I have my scale turned so that you can see it in the video. Unfortunately, I'm realizing that the lighting is such that you're not going to be able to see it. There's a glare on it, and you won't be able to see that until the very end. But just know, for one loaf of sourdough, I will need 100 grams of active starter. So I want to make sure that what I'm mixing up here totals a little more than 100 grams. Now I just stir and get everything fully incorporated, which just takes a few seconds. And then I loosely place the top on the jar and find a nice spot on my counter. I usually like to place it in the sunshine if at all possible. That heat helps it naturally accelerate the process. And what this is going to do is you'll see it bubble up through the day, and it grows in size. It doesn't actually grow in weight and volume, but you see those bubbles forming, and that's when you have an active starter. And what we're looking for is the amount of starter to look like it's grown to about double where you started. It's now the evening time. I fed my starter this morning. It has doubled in size. So now it's time to get our sourdough bread mixed up. So I've got my bowl on the scale and I've zeroed out my scale. I need 100 grams of my sourdough starter. Okay, there we go. To this, I'm going to add 350 grams of filtered water. That's close enough. Now I'm going to add 10 grams of salt. Okay. Now I'm going to slide the scale out from under it and get all of this mixed together. If you're not familiar with this type of whisk, it's called a Danish dough whisk. I will say it's quite handy for mixing up doughs, but it's also not essential. You can just use a spoon. That's what I did for almost the first year that I began sourdough baking. But it is a handy whisk to have. It's very strong, and so it helps with stiffer doughs. Okay, now I'm going to zero out my scale again before I add my flour. I'm going to add bread flour. I think I've got enough. If I'm running short, I can add some other flour. I need 500 grams of flour. I've tried a few different types of flours in sourdough baking. I've used just traditional all-purpose flour. I've landed on using this bread flour because I prefer the texture of the finished product. But you can also use freshly milled flour. That's not the season of life I happen to be in right now, but I'm confident that makes a delicious bread. And now I'm going to mix this up. I think one of the things that I love the most about sourdough baking is the simplicity of it. There is a learning curve. I get it. But once you get over that learning curve, it truly is simple. This is flour, salt, and water. That's it. So basic, and you really don't have to have anything fancy to do it. I have this Danish dough whisk. but you can use a spoon. I'm going to show you the banneton that I put it in before I bake it, but you don't have to have that. You can just use a bowl. I'm going to use a lame to score my bread, but you can just use a knife. I put it in a Dutch oven to bake it in my oven, but you can open bake. You can find instructions on how to do that online. You can work with whatever tools you have and do this if you want to. And now I'm just going to cover this, and we'll come back in 30 minutes and we'll start our stretch and folds. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. I've washed my hands good, and now I'm going to do a set of stretch and folds. And all that means is I'm going to start on one side of the bowl and literally just stretch it up and fold it over. Then I'm going to turn my bowl 1/4 turn and do the same thing. I'm going to do this until I go all the way around the bowl, all 4 sides. And the glutens are starting to develop. You can feel it each time you stretch and fold. Okay, I'm going to wash my hands, cover it back up, and wait another 30 minutes to do another set of stretch and folds. Over the course of a couple hours, I did 4 sets of stretch and folds spread out every 30 minutes. Now, I don't show you the second and third one, but I do want to show you this last one just to highlight the difference in the dough from the first to the last. You can really see it developing here, and it's gaining some structure. It's not nearly as shaggy as it was to begin with. Okay. Now I let it rest overnight, and in the morning we'll come and get it shaped and ready to bake. You can see just how much that dough has risen overnight. Probably, technically, it's overproofed, but I've done this enough to know that it is going to be just fine. So on my clean counter surface, I take some flour and just sprinkle it around before I turn my dough out onto the counter. Now, it really doesn't make any difference whatsoever what kind of flour. In fact, I don't use bread flour when I'm flouring the counter. I just use a traditional all-purpose flour. So as you see, I'm trying to be as gentle as possible with the dough, yet get all of it out so that I don't waste any. As I begin to shape the dough, I'm ultimately trying to shape it into a large ball, but I'm going to begin by stretching my dough out flat. I'm shaking it pretty gently and just trying to let gravity take its course as well. And you see, I really kind of spread it out into a square on the counter. And once I get it stretched out into an even square, I'm going to begin to fold the 4 sides in. Now, I don't necessarily feel like I have the prettiest of shaping techniques. I've watched people do it before, and I try to mimic them, but I don't feel like I do it well. But that's okay, and I'm okay with showing you that as well. Maybe one of your takeaways can be that you just kind of figure it out, and it actually turns out fine. You can talk to other people who do sourdough. You can get tips online, but know that is very forgiving, and it doesn't have to be that complicated. If you are interested in starting a sourdough journey and you're looking for a sourdough starter, there's a few tips I would give you. The first one is maybe just talk to people in your circle. Most all of us have someone we know that does sourdough baking, and oftentimes they're more than willing to share. It just takes a little bit, and so I would start with that. And you can also make your own. I'm actually going to leave instructions in the description box that a cottage baker friend of mine has shared with me, and I'm going to share those with you if you're interested. You can also buy it online. I've never had any experience with that, don't know much about it, but I know that is available as well. Now, once I get this shaped, I flour my banneton, and then I take a damp cloth and I cover the bowl, and I'm going to refrigerate this for a few hours. I'm going to get my Dutch oven in the oven, and I'm going to get my oven preheated to 450 degrees. Once my oven is almost up to temperature, it's time to get this dough ready to go in. I pull it out of the refrigerator and uncover it, and I have a very large piece of parchment paper ready. I am going to gently turn the dough over onto the parchment paper. You want to handle this dough as gently as possible. Now, the reason for the size of the parchment paper, you want excess on both sides because it's going to serve as a handle more or less to get it in and out of your Dutch oven. Now, once you get the dough centered on the parchment, I take this lame. It's a special tool for cutting sourdough, and I'm going to cut a slit across the top from one side to the other. This is going to give a spot for steam to escape, similar to cutting slits in a pie crust or piercing holes in a baked potato, so to speak. But you do not have to have this lame or this bowl, which is called a banneton. You don't have to have anything fancy to make sourdough. You can make sourdough with just a regular bowl lined with a towel. Use flour to make sure it doesn't stick. You can cut or score it across the top with just a regular knife. Just make sure it's sharp. I did that for almost a year before I bought any of this equipment for sourdough. Now my oven has reached temperature. I'm going to take that Dutch oven out. It's nice and toasty. And with the excess parchment paper as my handles, I'm going to place the dough into the Dutch oven. I'm going to put the lid back on, and I'm going to put it in my oven and bake for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, I'll take the lid off and bake uncovered for an additional 9 minutes. Okay, my 30-minute timer has just gone off, so it's time to get this lid off. And you see it's looking really good. I'm going to turn it just a little bit, and then we're going to set the timer for 9 minutes. Okay, it's time to get the bread out of the oven. I'm going to carefully lift it, and now I'm going to get it over here to cool off on my wire rack. I'm not going to lie to you, this is the hardest part, waiting to cut into fresh bread. Okay, it's the moment of truth. Time to cut into our bread. I generally like to cut mine in half. You see that good crumb? Now after I cut it in half, I like to turn it on the flat side, and then I just cut downward. Now let's put some butter on this one. Salted butter is a must. Okay, let's try it. There is not much better than fresh bread. I've always been a sucker for bread ever since I was a kid. That hasn't changed much either. It is so delicious. I hope you've seen how simple sourdough really is. It's not that complicated. I feel like a lot of people put a lot of rules out there and it intimidates everyone. But I don't think all of those rules are always necessary. There are things that go along with baking that help you along the way. But at the end of the day, it's not that complicated. If you're thinking about taking the plunge into sourdough, I hope you'll give it a try. Let me know if you do. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm not an expert, but I do have a few years of experience, and I'm happy to give you the answers that I can based on my experience, whatever those are. I'll help in any way that I can, but let me know if you give it a try. I hope you do. Thanks so much for watching.